Hi lovelies, I'm Ariel and this is Maven Unmasked with your self-care for the caretaker video series through the lens of tarot. Today we are talking about the spiritual self with the suit of wands. Please know that there are 4 other videos in this series where we also talk about the emotional self, the mental self, and the physical self, as well as some additional themes of being a caretaker through the lens of the major arcana with tarot as well. So if you are a caretaker or if there is someone in your life who is going through these things and you think this series would be of help to them, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, so today we are talking about the spiritual and the active self. The first card I wanted to talk about is the Ace of Wands, and the Ace of Wands is about taking charge, taking up for yourself, taking up for your loved one, standing your ground when it comes to being a advocate for your loved one. Because a lot of times that's what you have to do. You have to be an advocate for your loved one when you're in this role. But it's really about finding inspiration. How can you keep yourself inspired? How can you keep your juju flowing? I do have a free ebook up on the mavenunmasked.com website called Inspiration for the Uninspired, and it's a free e-guide with a bunch of different tips and ways you can find inspiration when you're feeling just burnout, and if you're someone who's in a particularly inspired, creative, right-brained career like I am, inspiration is fuel. And when you don't have inspiration, it's really hard to do your work. So finding constant sources of inspiration, whether it's looking at art or working with animals or poetry, reading self-care, self-help books, whatever it is, getting tarot readings, keeping yourself inspired is so important. Okay. Alrighty. Next we have the Three of Wands, and the Three of Wands is about keeping a fresh perspective, looking for new opportunities, still for yourself as well as for your loved one, maybe new clinical trials or something to that effect for some of you, but it's really about trying to keep a fresh, clear, and adventurous perspective on life, because again, we can get this tunnel vision, we can be so stuck in the dirt and the muck and the mire that we forget that there's opportunities out there, there's adventures waiting to be had, that the sun will rise again, all of those beautiful things. So it's about staying as optimistic as possible, okay? Maybe taking a trip to develop the spiritual self, going to a sacred site or some kind of sacred ritual, a place where you feel you can reconnect, okay? The next card we have is the Nine of Wands, and the Nine of Wands brings me back to that being an advocate, being defensive, knowing your stuff. Okay, when it comes time to talk to doctors, because your loved one can't really fully be an advocate for themselves sometimes, or they may forget, their health history, or, maybe there's a doctor that's not really talking to them, but is so quick to write a prescription. Is your intuition telling you that, hey, I feel like they need a second opinion, or I don't really, I'm not really feeling this doctor. I feel like they're not listening. Let's go check somebody else, or let's go see a specialist. Okay, stand your ground. And also in terms of standing your ground, you have to be an advocate for yourself as well. Stand your ground for yourself too. If you're like, hey, I just need a break today, and I just need to get away for a few hours, or have somebody else come in for a few hours, or whatever it is, stand your ground and have your boundaries, what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. Okay? And then lastly, we have the Ten of Wands. Okay, the Ten of Wands is about burdens and responsibilities. And sometimes the person you're caring for may feel like a burden, or you may feel like it's a burden even though you don't want to, and you may feel guilty because you feel like it's a burden, even though it's really not, but it kind of is, because it's just so much. It's overwhelming. You've never had to do this before. How do you do this? Where do you even start? Okay, start to unpack that wand by wand, take those bricks off your shoulder brick by brick. Okay, you may be carrying, a lot of stress in your neck and shoulders. I ended up getting a pinched nerve from the stress, of the situation. I thought I was having a heart attack and had to go to the hospital. Turns out it was a pinched nerve. So be really mindful of the stress and the baggage and the weight that you're carrying. Try to shift it and not see it as a burden, but see it as a duty, as a vocation, as a responsibility, as an act of love and kindness and responsibility. Get a massage, take care of the physical body in that way, especially the centers up here. Okay, but stress can physically manifest in the body. And how can you take off not only the physical stress, but the mental and the emotional and spiritual stress as well? And by building a spiritual practice, by doing release work, by connecting with your spirit team and your angels and guides, you can begin to unpack these burdens. Also, know that if your loved one may be seeing themselves as a burden, they may not be fully expressing all of their needs. So try to hold that space for them and make them feel like they're not a burden, so you can make sure they're really getting the full care that they need, everything that they truly need, that they have a voice too. What baggage are they carrying that needs to be set down and released? I believe I said in one of my other videos, you may end up being a confessor of sorts, as your loved one needs to unload their own weight and their own baggage as they're going through this process as well. But I'm Ariel, and this has been Maven Unmasked with my Self-Care for the Caretaker video series through the lens of tarot. We were just talking about the spiritual and the active self with the suit of wands. If you would like to book a reading with me, please be sure to check out my website, www.mavenunmasked.com. It would be an honor and a pleasure to work with you, beautiful soul. But so much love and supportive energy to all of you caretakers out there. Bye.